This is Earl Amin with the 2020 Foresight Podcast, where CEOs of small to global companies share their insights. It is 6 questions in 9 minutes because top CEOs know how to listen and be concise. So let's get to it. First of all, welcome. And in just a few sentences, tell us who you are, what you do.
Well, thank you, Earl. My name is Paul Pirkle. I'm the president of Mid-America Paper Recycling based out of Chicago, Illinois. We are a mid-sized paper recycler. We work from coast to coast. We broker scrap paper, plastic, and we also have a local processing facility in Chicago. And, our brand identity is really growing the worth of your waste. So that's really what we focus on with our customers is helping them to grow what waste they are generating and figuring out a way to be able to do that more concisely and through more economically.
Well, what do you find is the best thing of being the president of your company?
I think the best thing about being the president of the company is we have the opportunity to be able to set the mission, the vision, strategy, and then execute on that. And I've really enjoyed in my tenure. I had been a coach in the past and was an athlete. And I always appreciated the fact that those coaches that really tried to get more out of you and really tried to focus more on what it was that you could achieve in your career. And so to be able to set a mission and a vision and then be able to see those people that are employed at the company be able to execute and be able to get their wins and get their successes, that's got to be the most important thing for me. And I get the most out of that.
Very good. Very good. I take it that along your career path, and like myself, I've heard from other CEOs that leading a team and being able to see the road ahead to anticipate can be a challenge. What are your thoughts?
Well, it is a challenge. And I think that's what makes it most rewarding. And I believe what makes it mostly a challenge is the fact that you have to match up your communication and you have to communicate very clearly all the time. And it's hard to do that consistently. If you're not able to communicate consistently to your people and they don't know where they're going, then it can be a challenge because they don't really know what your intentions are. So as a CEO and president, you have ideas about this is where we want to go. You set your agenda, you set how you want to move forward, you know your mission, but then being able to match that speed of execution with the communication and then what the culture will allow. That's really where you set that tone and then continually to reinforce that. I think that's where the challenge comes in. Because as CEO, you want to be that fast mover, but a lot of times the organization's not prepared for that. They need to be able to come along at a different pace, and so to be able to match those two things up, I believe that's where it's rewarding in the fact that when you see that happening and you see it get done, it's phenomenal.
Very good. Well, Paul, you've run a number of companies along your career path. What piece of insight do you want to share with other CEOs?
I really based my career off two philosophies. One philosophy is more around the continuous improvement, and that is there's a combination to every lock. So I approach continuous improvement in that no matter if you have your locker combination that you had on your athletic locker when you're growing up, that was the three phase combination, or you could have Fort Knox and it has multiple combinations, but no matter what, it always has a combination. So continuous improvement works that way. But I would think that the main thing that I want to share with other CEOs today is I've worked under a philosophy with our employees of our company, and I talk a lot about culture. Culture is really important to me, really about building resumes. I tell people within my organization that I want to make sure that they build their resume continually. And what I mean by that is that I'm not trying to get rid of them. I'm not trying to say, hey, you need to be putting your resume out there. What I am saying is that while you're working here, I want you to be doing things that are fantastic. I want you to be able to put things down there that you would be proud of to be able to show a future hire and share that with me. We can celebrate that together. But I think all too often, people think that their resume is only when they're transitioning to a new role. And I wanted to change that. I don't like the fact that the only time that you put your bullet point 1, 2, and 3 down is when you are applying for that next position. And then you're going through your head and saying, what is it that I did during my last so many years? Instead, I want them to work on building their resume now And if they build their resume now, what they're doing is they're essentially building value for our organization. They're feeling proud of that. And I like that idea. So I even told some people when I was with another company is that you build your resume with me, and what I'll do is I'll send you a recommendation. I know that you may not always work with me, but you may need to find your own career path. But the main thing that I want you to do is that 10 or 15 years down the road, I want you to look back on your resume and I want you to point to the time that you were with me as your leader. And I want you to say, that is where I grew the most. And if I can get that accomplished, that's a wonderful thing for me. And as I said, I want to be able to have these employees feel proud of what they're doing regularly. And they can do that by building their resume and taking on that philosophy for themselves.
Very good. Well, Paul, throughout your career, what other successful CEOs like yourself would you like to acknowledge or give a shout out to and should be on my podcast?
Sure. Yeah. So it was hard to choose among these because I'm part of a Vistage group. So a Vistage group is a CEO advisory group where we bring a lot of people together and we talk each month. So, I could get in trouble by my Vistage group right now, but there are two people that I do want to point out. One is Shannon Coombs. She's the president of Hillfire in Chicago. And another one is Greg Horace, and he's the CEO of a company called Cage Civil Engineering. And both of them have a really nice demeanor about themselves, and they are very energetic about being leaders and taking their role as their CEO in their companies to a next level. And I've just enjoyed watching them and hearing from them and learning from them over the years. And I think that I would choose those two people. I think that others would gain insight from them as I have, through my time that I've been with them.
Very good. Thank you for that. Well, now for the final question. How do you celebrate a win?
Celebrating a win is so difficult for me. It's one of my most challenging areas. But I would say that when I want to celebrate a win, I want to do it quickly. I want to be able to get into that locker room, if you want to call it that, and to be able to pop the champagne cork and say, hey, we did it. And then you get on to the next day. But I think it is worthwhile to celebrate. So we write a daily blog to our company and just be able to call people out, say, hey, this person did a great job. And with COVID, it's actually been difficult, but also being able to have dinners out, making sure that you can have events where people are celebrated at those events and they just feel like that they're part of that company. So I would say that COVID has changed things a little bit on how to celebrate, but we've been able to find ways to do that through creative ways, through the email, through internal Teams messaging and different types of blogs, just to keep us all together. Very
good. Very good. Well, as it's been a pleasure having you on today, tell me this, how can people find you?
So I'm on LinkedIn at Paul Pirkle, and I do have my MBA, so it says Paul Pirkle MBA. So if they go on LinkedIn, that would be great, and they can definitely look me up. And we do have a very active LinkedIn site with Mid-America Paper Recycling. So those would be the two areas that I would point them to, and I would love to be able to have these conversations with more CEOs. I enjoy talking to other people and really able to see what they're doing and learning from them, but also communicating with them about any issues that they may be having.
Certainly. Well done. This is Earl Amin with the 2020 Foresight Podcast. For more insights, go to LinkedIn and search for The Gray Owl Company. Paul, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Earl.